Where on earth is the content? What's cracking, man? We're at that point in time in Destiny, that end of season cooldown where we wait to hear more about new stuff. And of course, everyone is kind of venting. A lot of players are kind of bored right now, or a little bit tired of revelry spam. You know, we want to know what's coming next as well. Guys, I absolutely feel you, and I think, I'm not getting on a Bungie here, but I think this is about as quiet as it's been in D2, but hopefully Bungie are heads down figuring out what they're going to do next. And we should get some exciting stuff to talk about within the next couple of weeks, so hold on my friends. I'm holding in there too. But Bungie have, however, dropped some teases. One about future dungeon content, which is pretty cool, and there's some good discussion there as well, so we'll touch on that. And we'll also talk about some other future content, a couple of Season 7 things, but we've got some updates from Bungie, and the community's hunt for a secret emblem, which only a few people have actually figured out how to get. So we'll talk about all this stuff and a couple of other D2 roundups, so guys, if you dig the video, a like below is really appreciated. But now let's get straight into it. So of course, Bungie had a Shattered Throne ride-along where they spoke about the development of the dungeon, which was pretty cool, and I'll link the full video for that down below if you want to check it out. But as always, they answered a few community questions, and we had a pretty cool question from Nem, who asked about future dungeon content and whether that's something that Bungie are working on. And we definitely got a bit of a Bungie answer right here, but this is what Deej had to say.
You never know what might happen in the world of Destiny, and if you won't say it, I will. We have people upstairs right now creating new surprises for you to experience, so we're certainly not done with this type of thing, not even close.
So pretty cool answer right there. And Brendan Thorne from Bungie immediately before that was talking about how dungeons in general is something that they really want to explore. Deej did say that there are people upstairs building more surprises for us, and that Bungie are definitely not done with this kind of content, not even close. So while that is more of a tease, I'd certainly take it as a confirmation that we'll at least see more dungeon style modes in the future. But of course, dungeons, or Shattered Throne in particular, and the format of that, including the way it was actually released, is pretty secretive. And maybe Niobe Labs kind of factors into that. It was a mysterious new piece of content, not in a large-scale dungeon, but almost more of a kind of locked vault escape type feel. Bungie are definitely working on more of this, but they're certainly not ready to tell us when. And a lot of folks have speculated, is this something that we could see in Season of Opulence? And it is possible, especially if it was linked to that new 6-player match-made activity, but we should probably be realistic. Since this is an annual pass drop, with a raid and a new activity, it could be the case that new dungeons could indeed come later in September, or the roadmap beyond that. And that's why Bungie have also teased that they have, upcoming future PvP content that is going to be more significant than what we've had over the past few months at least. As Bungie have stated though, dungeons are definitely a great mix of fireteam endgame content, quest content, but also opportunities for solo players to kind of show their might. So how do you guys feel that dungeons could improve or grow in the game? Of course, there are some quests that require Shattered Throne, and also some important rewards like Wishender or the ship for Cursebreaker, but I'd really love to see dungeons with more fleshed out loot tables. Some amazing armor visuals, farmable rewards, weapons, kind of a mini raid style loot table done well could be really cool. And also, while the 3-week cycle of the Shattered Throne is interesting, I think it would be really awesome to have a dungeon or multiple dungeons available over weekly resets eventually, right? It could even be linked with the raids, maybe kind of a raid lair style thing? But regardless, be sure to share your thoughts on this one, because clearly Bungie are cooking up some stuff like this for later down the road. Let us know what you think down below. Again though, these could be kind of secret pieces of content in a bigger DLC drop, and while Bungie did show this Shattered Throne to us before Forsaken released, we never actually knew what it was. That was outside of some data mining, of course. Either way, be sure to share your thoughts on this below. Now, separate to the dungeon discussion, of course at this point we're only around about a month away from Season 7. And I think this season will definitely be different in that while we're getting new content, I'd imagine there'll be lots of conversation about content beyond Season 7 and Year 3. And of course we really do need those conversations so that players know what to expect. And we could be getting some reveals, as early as the first week or so in July, if not earlier at E3. So on top of the content release that we get in June with Season of Opulence, I think things will definitely get busier over the summer. Now in Penumbra, power level should be increasing to 750. Bungie previously confirmed that annual pass drops should have an increase of 50 power levels. And I think this is certainly a valid conversation. A lot of us in the community have been discussing enhancement cores and the cost of infusion. We've also had the same basic leveling system for a year or so, and now, especially with this discussion and fatigue in the player base, one thing that could be pretty nice in Year 3 would be an innovation on how that works. works. I think we need some quality of life adjustment at the very least, and apparently a lot of other community members agree with that. So what do you guys think? Do you think power leveling or the cost, infusion systems and stuff like that work as they are? Or do you think we need some changes? And I'd really love to see your suggestions down below. For Season 7 though, Benedict is clearly going to be our main vendor, or the NPC. And these characters are kind of postcards on the front of the annual pass. We had Ada 1, the Drifter, and then Benedict's. And so we'll probably see him move to a new room in the annex in the tower, as Bungie have teased other areas, He may well be in the frame room in the annex, since this is kind of the annual pass area. So yeah, that will probably mean some kind of rework to Benedict's inventory as well. There had been some questions about that one too, and I'm not sure if any Leviathan gear will be updated to Year 2, but he probably will have a secondary page to still sell the Year 1 or vanilla stuff as well. And in case you noticed, on that roadmap, of course, we do still have some redacted content, so there are some things that we really don't know about yet. Could that possibly be a dungeon-style piece of content? Of course, let's not speculate too hard, but much like Niobe Labs and Vicarious Visions actually worked on Black Armory, who knows, we might get something pretty interesting in Season of Opulence 2. So again guys, stay tuned, we'll probably get some news in the next couple of weeks about stuff to finish off this season, as well as the changeover and the content for Season of Opulence. But Cosmo did suggest that we'd have 4 weeks after the end of the Revelry event, and that would take us up to June 4th, so that is the likely release date, or at least the end date, for Season 6. Now, a quick update, some more people asked me about Invitations of the Nine. As I mentioned at Reset yesterday, there's still nothing new on this just yet, so I don't really know if it's going to be fixed by Thursday or when Xur next arrives. I know this is pretty annoying, and presumably, if we do go over Thursday's reset, we could end up kind of a week behind in general. And it's possible that we could only get this invitation done within the next week or so, assuming that they actually get the fix out. Definitely seeing a lot of player frustration about this. I completely understand that, and I hope they'll sort it out soon, but I will update the pinned comment on this video if anything changes. For any folks interested in Iron Banner or completing the emblem for Iron Burden, any of the challenges or loot, DMG did clarify that there will be yet another Iron Banner in May. This will be the final one for Season 6. Cosmo also responded to some feedback on Titans in PvE in general in the game, and there was reference to a recent video from Dado. Cosmo clarified that they are still looking into how Titans are performing in the game in general, and that would include, some of the underused subclasses. I actually think there are a lot of very good individual subclasses for Titan, but some of the issues center around support, really. Bottom Tree Striker is an insane subclass. I think Sunbreaker is as well, and then some of the others do need some love, but they probably also need to share their love a little bit with other classes as well. Warlocks have healing, Rifts and empowerment, Hunters have tether or crazy ad control, and while Titans do have some of these kinds of options, Ward of Dawn or Weapons of Light or the Shield, they just don't feel as noticeable or useful or as potent in general for other fireteam members, so I think that could have an effect on this as well, especially when you see teams that are kind of avoiding having a Titan on a difficult Reckoning run or something like that. So again, I'd love to hear some thoughts from you guys about that down below. But now, something interesting that's happening in the community, there's a bit of a hunt going on for an emblem called After the Nightfall. Now this is kind of a secret reward in the game. It was actually added into the game in Forsaken, but as far as anyone knows, less than 5 people actually have this thing. And apparently Bungie actually asked someone who had obtained it not to spill the beans on how you actually get it, which is pretty interesting. But another user who does own it actually posted on Reddit. And they broke down all of the things that they'd done shortly before this actually dropped. And they did a couple of Nightfalls in a row. The first one was a 100k run. And the second one was just kind of a quick run through the strike. They do actually have 100k in every single Nightfall, so maybe that could be part of this trigger. But otherwise, the emblem drops when you hit this requirement at the end of a Nightfall. And again, there isn't a whole bunch actually known about it. And since it is triggered by something, if you guys know anything about it or want to contribute to kind of hunting this one down, then definitely sound off below, but also head over and join the conversation about it on Reddit. And I'll link the original thread from Harry the Atheist, who actually posted about this one just yesterday. But yeah, certainly interesting that there is a very difficult to obtain, or at least secretive in terms of the mechanics behind it. But yeah, the emblem's called After the Nightfall. Let us know if you know anything about that one. Of course, we have spoken about other upcoming secrets this season, like the Exotic Quest, which as far as we know, should be coming in May. And if you want to know more about that, I'll link a video down below. It seems possible that Bungie will maybe give us a couple of details before it goes live, but obviously this could be a complete secret. But there are also some interesting titles in the database, but I believe most of these were added in Forsaken, but aren't actually available in the game. Just something curious to take a look at. But there is actually a title in the database that's listed under PvP Seasonal, be among the first to reach the top PvP rank in a season, but according to the database, the title that it actually grants for both character genders is Shax. So pretty interesting. I'm not sure if this is ever something that will actually come into the game or be made available. There's also one called Exotic Armory, and of course that is a triumph. but it's listed with a title essentially alongside it to complete all exotic armory triumphs. So again, that's pretty curious, but there also was Last Wish World's First, and this was a title called Wish Granter. I don't believe that one actually rolled out into the game either, but what would you guys think about having kind of seasonal titles like that be among the first to reach the top PvP rank in a season? And of course it could be other similar things to this. Yeah, again, don't really know if they'll come into the game, but just something curious to share with you guys. Otherwise, for now, that pretty much sums up what we've got to talk about today, so I will keep you posted with any details, things that Bungie talk about this week. Maybe we'll get some details about what to expect throughout this month, or in Season of Opulence inside of This Week at Bungie. We're definitely not far off those conversations, so stay tuned here on the channel. But if you've enjoyed this video, a like below is very much appreciated. Be sure to share any thoughts that you have. Also, I want to say a massive thanks to the warm reception of the mean comments video that I did the other day. Definitely something a little bit different, and I'll see if I can do similar types of stuff in the future, maybe more entertainment content, or maybe take that format and, you know, do some different stuff with it. So I'd be curious if you guys have any suggestions or thoughts on it, but I do very much appreciate all of the positive feedback that we got, and I'll link that video down below if you haven't checked it out yet. Maybe something different to take a look at. But guys, as always, thanks for all the support, and whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.